Everyone, Zeddy here again today with yet another video as we have the patch notes. We have the official changes for the one standard nerf that likely kills off Death Rattle or Undead Druid, hopefully, or at least makes it a little bit more reasonable. The twist changes, there's Battlegrounds updates, there's Duels updates, there's still nerfing stuff in Duels. Why? We'll go over all of that. Also an update on Sargeras, basically just a bit more clarification. There's one more upside to the card I do want to talk about if you haven't watched that review yet. We posted that just like an hour or so ago. Check that out. The card is rad. Don't know if it'd be amazing, but it's really cool. And again, our giveaway is going on. We're giving away 2 mega bundles, 2 regular pre-orders of Titans. All you have to do is like and comment in the video description below. Be subscribed to the channel, and every 1,000 subs until all the cards are revealed, we will add another mega bundle. So the patch notes are out. I will link these below if you want to take a look in more detail. Particular battlegrounds we typically skip over, but it is expected to launch today. Although I've heard rumblings behind the scenes, it might be delayed. There might be some weird issues with regards to the duels or the twist bans. It might be a bit late. There might be more social media updates on it. I might mention that if it is delayed in our Titan card review. We're expecting the the Death Knight one in a couple of hours. So be aware, it might not be out at like 10 a.m. Pacific today, which is normally when patches come out. It could be a little bit late. We got the standard card dev update here. Says the standard meta is in a good spot right now with a lot of competitive options across most classes. We're making this adjustment because Womper is the biggest sentiment outlier in the format. Basically, really pisses a lot of people off, right? And even if you look at like H's replay, you look at like win rates, we have 7 classes across all ranks at 50% or more, which is pretty unprecedented. And even if you look at the meta at like Legend or whatever here, we have 5 tier 1 decks, bunch of tier 2. There's a lot of stuff to play. It might not be the most exciting, you might not love it, and like in terms of, you know, maybe it's not your playstyle, but there's lots of options and there's no clear outlier, right? So that's why I do agree with this sentiment. And they said we consider a handful of other cards that could have gotten small adjustments, but decided it would be better to let this meta play out for a while. Plus a new set's coming out in like a month, right? And I totally agree. Again, I'm part of that whole like creator discussion thing where they go over changes, and there were a few changes, and basically all of the creators are like, why change any of this except for Womper? Because Womper, yeah, really frustrating. And basically, interestingly enough, they buffed it, or they nerfed it back to 6, didn't give it its old stats back. I believe it was a 6-mana 7/6. If I remember correctly, they didn't give it its stats back. It stays 6/5, which is really interesting to me. It slows that deck down. That deck is really frustrating to face when they play, you know, Womper with the location, cheat out Thaddeus and all that stuff. It's really gross. That could still happen, obviously, but it's slowed down typically by a turn. Even, you know, you got Wild Growth, you got Innervate, all of that. But the deck's not like a top tier outlier, so you're hurting a deck significantly that's not that great already. It's probably going to kill the deck. It's funny, Druid has had 2 decks nerf this expansion that weren't like top tier outliers, but the play pattern was so frustrating. The other one was a Nupercon, right? Cheating out all those stats. The Druid design has just been off. Druid's my favorite class. I have like almost 9,000 wins with it, but the last 2 years I've barely played the class because I just feel like the design has just been lost. It's turning into a pure scam class, typically relying on like one card. Before we had Guff, and then it's Womper, a Nubricon. I don't know. I feel like they've cut, like, it's just, I'm just not like the direction of Druid, but I'm happy with the nerf, a buff that probably should have never happened. And yeah, it has been confirmed to happen. And then we got the twist card updates, which has this dev comment of part of the twist beta, remember it's still in beta, early access, they're trying different stuff, is exploring our own design objectives when it comes to the mode. The whole premise of the mode is that they're quickly updating formats already built into it, so balance changes might not be as necessary to keep things fresh. However, we are still able to ban card or make card bans when we think they make the format better. Here we're taking a lighter approach to the big 3 outliers in the current format. They forgot Quest Shaman. It's an outlier. I feel like it's an outlier. It's so crazy. But regardless, we'll see how these changes impact players and might take further or different actions in the future, including the next time we bring back the new H format. Don't bring it back. I mean, maybe there's people that like it, but bring that back? I guess we could see that. So yeah, the confirmed ban. So these cards, you will not be able to play them in your Twist deck. They're still eligible in Wild, but not currently in Twist. That's Glide, Crypt Keeper. I'm very happy about Glide. The card is so freaking toxic and frustrating. Like, one of the main reasons it's really hard to beat that deck is like they just throw your hand away and you have no answers for their board, where at least now they can't do that. So that's good. Crypt Keeper, you could play as early as like turn 2 in Quest Druid, so that's a decent change, but doesn't change, I feel like, nearly as much as Glide does. And Refreshing Springwater, man, that is zoomed in. Refreshing Springwater, feel like Solid Alibi or Encanters probably would have been a better hit, besides obviously hitting the Amulet, the 8 mana or the 10 mana. Is it 8 mana? I can't remember. The Dragon Spell. It never seems to cost 10, right? They always cheat it out, but outside of doing that, I don't know. I'm not huge on the Springwater change, but it is. But this is important to note, and I was worried about this. The 4 cards, all the cards are eligible for a full dust refund. So you can get full dust for the cards in Twist. I was really worried about that because that mode is hard enough to get into. And if they're going to do bans, which I think is fine when there's big outliers, if they're not going to give dust for that, like they don't give dust for banning cards in Duels, that would have been really bad. But I'm glad they are doing that. So it still doesn't really make up for, you crafted Quest Druid or Quest Demon Hunter and maybe you feel like it's not worth it anymore and you don't get the dust back for that. It's still an issue, but at least they're giving it back on that. So make sure to check your collection, see if you have those cards, and disenchant it. Battleground updates, again, nothing like we're going to go over. You want to take a look, you can see if Battlegrounds feels like it's going to be better for you. I saw Slissa rage tweeting like all day yesterday that the changes are terrible, or beforehand or terrible, and hopefully it improves for the Battlegrounds players. But quests are coming soon, I believe next major patch, so hopefully that'll help out. But buffs, nerfs, all that stuff, and yeah, again, not going to go super into detail about it. And then we got Duels, which I just don't understand what they're doing with Duels. Like, they are nerfing everything in Duels lately. So Carrot on a Stick, which I like almost never ever see anyone play ever, they nerfed it to 3 mana because reasons. Like, why? It's funny, they don't like to nerf stuff in Wild like ever, and Duels is like the opposite. They nerf freaking everything, even if like nobody plays the card. Men at Arms is now 5 mana, giving your Silverhand recruits, again, a card I rarely ever see play, and when I do, I usually beat it. Like, but yeah, it's 5 mana now, so they nerf that. And they nerf Starving, so it only works on your turn rather than any turn. So now you only draw a minion or get a buff once every, like, okay. Again, Starving, not exactly incredible. It's okay. And Corrupted Fellstone, looks like, did they nerf this or did they buff this after you cast your first? Okay, so now this one actually got buffed. This one, your first fell spell in a turn. This one is after you cast a fell spell, you get +1 attack. So they buffed that after obliterating this one earlier with a huge nerf. They buffed it a little bit to make it a little bit better. They've also banned Lightning Bloom. So Overload Shaman, which is pretty good, gets really hurt. And Druid, of course, too. And Kane's Sun Fury have been banned. No more taunts. And Rattlegore has been temporarily banned from deck building in all card pools until Diablo leaves the hero power. I guess getting that for free or for 6 mana every turn was a little bit too good, but Rattlegore will return, and they better, because he's such a freaking cool card. Not the hero, the card. There is the hero, this is the card. And some bug fixes and all of that. The Druid Battle Ready deck will now have Umbral Owl instead of Jerry Rig, as they ban Crypt Keeper. Kind of funny. They changed something about Battleground stuff and some Duels changes. So that's the updates. We know the official changes. I'm not expecting a big meta change. I'm probably not even going to do a day 1 patch review. I don't expect the meta to change too much. I don't expect Twist to change too much. If you don't like New Age now, you're probably not going to like it after. I'm okay with that. I'm just excited and hopeful for the next format. But those are the changes. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and tune in like probably a couple of hours for that next Titan reveal, the Death Knight one, which should be pretty cool. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.